Maryland School District considers teaching anti-race curriculum to preschoolers. Good idea. Just be sure to get those little bigots before nap time. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we head to Maryland, where nearly $500,000 is being spent to make sure 4- and 5-year-olds aren't becoming racist bigots or stopping them in their long 4-year career of racism. Yeah, this is ridiculous. You got the Biden administration now screaming for mandatory pre-K. You got the hope of the great progressive educators now that you have a Biden administration. There will be mandatory pre-K for kids given to the government schools at 3 and 4 years old. And why would you do that? So we now know, we've known for years that Head Start programs that getting kids, little tiny children, 3 and 4-year-olds into school doesn't give them a leg up. It doesn't actually help them down the road. It actually creates divisions between the bonding between parents and the child, which cause family problems, which the progressive left loves. This has nothing to do with better educating your kids or giving them an early Head Start. It has everything to do with acclimating little children to government policies much sooner. That's all that this is. And so here we have a situation now where, what is the purpose? What are you going to hand them over to the government for? Well, you're going to get when you imagine 8 hours a day free daycare at a public school when you send your kid to pre-care. You don't have to be home. Imagine a bunch of three-year-olds running around the house. You got 2 3-year-old twins running around the house. Now you can turn them over to government for 8 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 4 hours a day. And what they're going to learn there? Nothing academic. They're going to learn how they're little bigots and little racists. That's what you're going to get for your money. Your kids at age 3 will be forced to go through anti-racist interrogations.
And they can do that because in the Montgomery County Public School District, this is just one school district in Maryland, in one state, across the nation. We know it's happening everywhere. But just in that one school district, they spent more than $450,000. It was $454,800 or $680 to be exact, on an anti-racist audit. Now, we talk all the time, or we get stories where he talks all the time about how our schools, they need more money. Obviously, throw money at it. The solution is money. We need money. We don't have enough money. We can't teach our kids because we need the money. And this is how we spend the money, on an anti-racist audit.
That's just $500,000. Nationally and federally, Biden wants to throw $30-40 billion at the schools. And you know where that money's going to go? Half of it's going to the unions, the teachers' unions who are keeping your teachers from teachers. The other half's going to go for crap like this, how to racially indoctrinate your kids.
But it doesn't matter because we don't teach math, so you just keep adding zeros, and it doesn't matter. We don't know what that means. And we can't read, so you could say million, billion, trillion. It's all the same. We don't know because we don't teach our children. So here's what is happening. According to a copy of the school district's tentative action policy that the Daily Wire actually got a copy of, the district will provide a culturally responsive pre-kindergarten to grade 12 curriculum that promotes equity, respect, anti-racist thinking, and civility. I like that they put civility in there just as a little charmer.
You got to be careful about that because haven't the Black Lives Matter people said that preaching civility is racist?
I know.
We need revolution.
That's why I like that it got put in there.
The little bastards need to take the diaper pins off the diapers. Oh, do diapers have pins on them anymore?
No.
Remember back in the day when they had diaper pins? That's how they used to keep.
How old are you? Yes,
50?
they did.
They used to have
not
diapers.
Anymore.
See, if they had the diapers, the little kids could whip out that diaper pin and start gouging the eyes out of little white kids who don't get the lessons too fast. And speaking of not teaching math, like you mentioned before, I've come up with a word for it. A brand new version of math, we'll call it Ocasio-Cortez economics. Yeah. Cortestonomics. Cortestonomics. Wow. It's got the word testicle inside there because it's bollocks. Cortestonomics. I like it. We'll dedicate it after the economics major, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Cortestonomics, bollocks on the inside. And the point of it being that we don't worry how much it's going to cost if it turns kids into good little wards of the state.
No, but okay. So according to the school district, they are partnering with the Mid-Atlantic Equity Consortium. And so the Mid-Atlantic Equity Consortium is the one who will get this $454,680 to conduct the anti-racist audit. Apparently, I should have gone to school to become an auditor because that's a lot of cheese for nothing. For auditing the anti-racist nature that is in that school district.
And consortium. Hey, you guys want to...
The Mid-Atlantic Equity Consortium.
Come and consort with me about equity. And auditing equity.
We'll be the Midwest version.
Yes.
The Midwest Equity
Come and audit with me.
Consortium. So the audit was designed to examine the district's systems, practices, and policies that do not create access, opportunities, and equitable outcomes for every student's academic and social emotional well-being.
You hit it. Outcomes. This is outcome-based education. The purpose is not to teach your kid what he's good at, help her find what her career should be, help her find her vocation. No, the purpose of this is to make sure that when every kid graduates from every level of school, they are exactly the same. Nobody knows any more than anybody else. Nobody has any more than anybody else. Nobody has better grades than anything else. And everybody has leveled the playing field. It's all about race.
And you may say, okay, yeah, but it's only $450,000. You know what? They probably had the money. Fine. No. They don't have the money at all. They had to have budget cuts of up to $155 million, which is higher than hundreds of thousands of dollars if you know any math.
Cortestonomics.
So the $155 million shortfall, but we'll just throw $450,000 at.
It's Cortestonomics, right? And I promise you this: if they're $155 million in the hole, they will still provide that $450,000 for their audit. That's Cortestonomics. You might not be able to put toilet paper in the bathroom. You may not be able to afford janitors to spread sawdust over vomit anymore. You might have to live with dirty toilets and vomity floors. Your kid's getting racially sensitized. It's Cortestonomics.
I remember that smell. You never forget that smell.
Ooh, that smell.
I do know that smell so well. Anyway, the Mid-Atlantic Equity Consortium, which we're going to start the Midwest version of, because they, according to the Washington Free Beacon, in just mid-2018 to mid-2019, so in 1 year's time, they had reported taking in $17 million in taxpayer dollars, $0 in private donations in 4 years, and they got government financial backing through a partnership with the Department of Education. No shocker.
Cortestonomics.
So, Southern Poverty Law Center. It's like bringing up the ACLU, but worse, because the SPLC, they like to do a lot of things that are pretty racist in the name of racial justice.
And they also, the leaders of the SPLC love to harass and sexually mistreat their employees. So there's that. I mean,
there is that.
Let's not forget that the SPLC is really, really big on diddling the help.
I was going to say they're good at sucking at life, but
sucking the life out of their employees.
It all goes together. Now, there's an urging, if you will, for President Joe Biden to direct taxpayer funds to develop a curriculum on structural racism in the Department of Education and revamp the Teaching Tolerance Program. Oh, the Teaching Tolerance Program. We'll get to that in a moment. So in the annual Year in Hate and Extremism report that the SPLC puts out. It's an annual report. Look at it.
Take a look at this.
Oh, Proud Boy. Oh,
no one would know that no one would know there is any such thing as a Proud Boy if there wasn't Antifa. In fact, the Proud Boys more or less were developed as an answer to Antifa. As Antifa was burning everything down, a group of so-called patriots came, whether you like them or not, they are a response to Antifa. And that, notice who's not on the cover of their organization, not the Black Panthers and all that, not Angela Davis and her communist nonsense, not Antifa with all of its burning and looting, not Black Lives Matter with all of its moral turpitude and socialist leadership. No. Who's the big problem facing America today? It's the Proud Boys.
Yep, they are the Year in Hate and Extremism 2020.
Look at the symbols of hate on their armor. It's an American flag, Katie.
That is true.
I am so totally triggered. I am triggered, Katie, by that flag.
That PB makes me think of peanut butter, and now I'm hungry. Anyway,
thank God for Mark Cuban not playing the anthem at the Dallas Mavericks games. He spared us all.
We're
all the Dallas Mavericks now. No anthem.
Moving on. So in this annual Year in Hate and Extremism report that was just released, it called on the federal government to address the far-right and racist narratives by providing funding for the Department of Ed to develop a curriculum on structural racism.
A federal curriculum, which you're not allowed to have, by the way.
And then funding for states to implement their own related initiatives. And then they might as well put in the counties and the cities and the villages.
It's the exact scheme that they did with Common Core, only they're not even pretending it's about education anymore.
Oh, no. Why would
This is Common Core minus the little tip of the hat towards standards. These aren't even academic standards anymore. We've moved beyond that. Now that Common Core and its tentacles have allowed the federal government a huge control over education that constitutionally it shouldn't have, now it's coming down the road. Now they're going to do the exact same thing with Common Core in terms of how they bribe states into taking a federal curriculum and federal pedagogy, only this one's going to have nothing to do with anything but more race. Are you seeing a pattern here, Mom? Your kids in public schools are going to learn nothing about nothing other than left-wing racial intolerance. That's what your kid's going to learn by the time he enters his 3-year-old self enters preschool, and by the time they graduate high school, they will have had an arc from 3 to the age of 17 with nothing going on but radical race and left-wing indoctrination. That's what they're doing to you.
Oh, the joys. As the report states, Americans can only dismantle white supremacy if they understand how racism shaped and continues to shape housing, education, policing, healthcare, and other policies and practices that affect our everyday lives.
And it's just white. It's just the problem is just white.
White supremacy. Just white supremacy.
It doesn't matter what. Don't look at the streets. Don't look at Seattle. Don't look at what's going on in the country. Don't look at blacks killing blacks in record numbers in Chicago.
Nope.
That's an illusion. In the words of the magician Doug Henning, it's an illusion. Ooh. It's an illusion, right? All those dead black people in Chicago under Black Mayor Gordon Lightfoot. It's Gordon Lightfoot, right? The wreck of the Chicago Fitzgerald.
Yes, that is correct.
Somebody's got to make a ballad. Somebody needs to make a ballad based on the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald about Gordon Lightfoot in Chicago, right? Getting a haircut.
Every time when it mentions Wisconsin, I have like a point of pride in that song. That song is it's a good. Just go look it up.
It also mentions Cleveland, where I'm from, right?
Loser.
The steel. We've got Gordon Lightfoot Jr. in Chicago, and the SS Chicago Fitzgerald is sinking, and she's getting her hair done.
I'd much rather have the Gordon sinking than the Lori not sinking. Anyway, now the Teaching Tolerance program, which, let's be honest, is not at all about teaching tolerance. They say that it should now be named the Learning for Justice, because if it doesn't work, instead of fix it, just change the name.
Yep.
Like Common Core. Common Core's gone now, right, Dr. Duke? There's no Common Core anywhere. No, we got rid of it.
Let me go into my brainwashed liberal superintendent of school voice. No. You're so misinformed. You really need to get your facts straight. We don't do Common Core in Wisconsin. We just don't do it anymore. I mean, I appreciate all these. You brought me a volume of 7,000 pages about how bad Common Core is, all of it documented and now proven by 7 years of experience. Rest assured, we don't do Common Core. We do Wisconsin Common Core. It's not the same thing at all. Go home, go back to your families, and rest assured, we know what we're talking about. We're superintendents of public schools.
Excellent. Well, according to the Teaching Tolerance program, the Learning for Justice program, we are all called as educators, justice advocates, caregivers, and students to reimagine and reclaim our education system so that it is inclusive and just. This is according to Jalea Lyles-Dunn, who's the new Learning for Justice director. As she argues, in shifting from teaching tolerance to learning for justice, we're offering an urgent call to action. It's all about that call to action. We must learn, grow, and wield power together.
Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they'd have made Whitefish bare if they'd put 15 more miles behind her. They might have split up, or they might have capsized. They may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains of the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters all shot dead in Chicago.
Oh my God. Well, in the name of all the justice that we have to have here in the United States, we're going to take a look at Cornell, where we have a Cornell professor who actually did a good thing for once. I don't know why he's working at Cornell. He created a Watchdog site for the rise of this critical race theory that we have going on campus. So instead of actually promoting critical race theory, he's identifying it. So mom and dad, students, you can look and find if your university's on the list and what they're teaching about critical race theory.
You're telling me we have two things now to be proud of?
Two.
Without Cornell, we would not have modern cabbage.
Nope.
And we've got a watchdog organization for critical race theories.
This is
Way to go, Big Red Bear. Big Red Bobblehead Bear.
Well, Cornell law professor William Jacobson. So he decided, you know what, I've had enough of this BS that is all across our universities. So he created this critical race theory website, essentially. It's called, well, you can go visit it at criticalrace.org. It's critical race training in education. And so it allows you very easily to pick out a state, as you see on the screen. Pick out your state. Hopefully you know some geography of where you live or what college you're going to go to and what state that's in. And then it will give you the list of the schools that they already have in the database. Right now they have about 200 schools listed. They're hoping to get to 500 schools in just the next coming months. So what's really cool about this is that if you see something on your campus, you can submit it. And wow, it's very easy. And they will actually, fact check.
With all this, mad props to you, buddy. I want to give him, Mr. Jacobson, full props, even though he looks like a grown-up Ralph Wiggum. I want to give him all the props in the world for doing this, but go to the picture of the map, Mike. With all due respect, sir, that's where it's happening. Wherever you see red, you can pretty much bet critical race theory is being taught to your kids. I don't know why you need a list, because there it is. Every red state, every red county, every red city on that map is where they're teaching critical race theory, which means, drum roll, it's everywhere.
Well, that's depressing. But we've been saying for years on this show about all of it being in schools and everywhere, and apparently, knock on wood, you still aren't getting it because we still have these stories every single day. So, you know what? We're not going to reinvent the wheel. We'll just keep it spinning.
Big wheel, keep on spinning. Proud Mary, keep on winning. Where's my rolling chorus? Come on. Rolling.
No.
I get no help. I am a one-man band on this show. I think you need to write in and urge Katie to become more lyrical when I sing. She won't do it.
If you would become more in tune, maybe I would.
Well, maybe if I had somebody to sing along with, I would become more in tune. Do you ever think about that?
Clearly, he's not ready for his solo.
Did you ever think about that? Where else will you get a Gordon Lightfoot reference, a Ralphie Wiggum reference, a Office reference about modern-day cabbage? Where else can you be so efficiently entertained and enlightened and sung to, as you will on The Dr. Duke Show?
It's time for some real education. As we continue with G.K. Chesterton Week here on Instant Classics, Gilbert Keith Chesterton, the man with the mustache and hair as wild as the wind. He was an English philosopher. He's a theologian. He was an art critic and a preeminent Christian apologist. And he lived for a good amount of time and was able to do a lot of good things, including he eventually converted himself from being an Orthodox Christian to a Catholic. And in many ways, his thinking was an extension of several different Victorian writers, Matthew Arnold, John Henry Newman, John Ruskin, just to name a couple. And he did a couple good works, including Orthodoxy and The Eternal Man.
Chesterton and C.S. Lewis have that in common. Both of them decided that they were going to be what Lewis called big C Christians, right? Lewis didn't want to necessarily pick a denomination. Chesterton, too, was bothered by the question of Christian denominationalism. Should we really be separating ourselves that way? Lewis ultimately found that he joined the Anglican Church. Chesterton actually chose the Roman Catholic Church, but both men were concerned about how denominationalism turned Christians against each other. But we're talking today about the incredible legacy of Chesterton. This is Chesterton Week on the Dr. Duke Show, and he certainly deserves that much time. When you think about his great contributions to Christian apologetics, how at the times between World War I and World War II, when America and the whole West really was suffering a crisis of conscience with regards to God. God is dead, you may remember, was the headline during the end of the First World War, the carnage and the killing. Well, Chesterton was one of those guys who kept the Christian faith moving when there didn't seem much evidence in this world anymore to support the notion that there was a God. And so I want to share another one of those quotes with you. Here's our next quote from G.K. Chesterton. This one's from an anti-religious thought in the 18th century essay. He says, "Neither reason nor faith will ever die." Now, again, this is the time when we were mechanizing and the scientific method was pushing us forward, creating greater and greater implements of war and destruction. He says, "Neither reason nor faith will ever die, for men would die if deprived of either. The wildest mystic uses his reason at some stage, if it be only by reasoning against reason. The most incisive skeptic has dogmas of his own, though when he is a very incisive skeptic, he has often forgotten what they are. Faith and reason are in this sense co-eternal. But as the words are popularly used as loose labels for particular periods, the one is now almost as remote as the other. What was called the age of reason has vanished as completely as what were called the ages of faith." When we start separating faith and reason out, pretending that faith and reason actually have different ends and aims, when we make science devoid of faith and faith devoid of science, when we put those things at war, everybody loses. He's right. The compendium of the Roman Catholic Church, as late as 1977, actually proclaimed that reason and faith can never be at odds in the end. If we get back to that, maybe there would be a chance of saving civilization.
All right, if you're a fan of the show, please consider a one-time tax-deductible donation to support our Patriot Club, and we're going to send you the signature tumbler. It's red. It says freedom never tasted so good, because it never did. It's just a little thank you for signing up. All you have to do to sign up is visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us. And just a quick reminder to please download our brand new Freedom Project Media app. All you have to do is use the camera on your smart device to take a picture of one of the QR codes that is right there in front of you. And you're going to get access to 15 new shows a week, plus our library of content that includes, among other things, in-depth interviews, lecture series, educational animations. I could go on and on. But all you have to do is download the Freedom Project app in your app store and make sure you allow for notifications.
For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.